This technology is not only here to stay, but it's here to grow, expand, and provide opportunities that you and I can't even imagine today.
Today we have Republican Senator of Wyoming Cynthia Lummis on the show. Cynthia, alongside Kirsten Gillibrand, is the architect of the Responsible Financial Innovation Act. Cynthia, welcome to the Crypto Mile.
Thanks, Brian. It's great to be with you.
Cynthia, what are the changes that the Responsible Financial Innovation Act will bring to the crypto industry?
Well, it will bring regulatory clarity here in the United States with regard to what agencies crypto assets will have to comply with under certain circumstances. And then it provides definitions for how those would fall out. For example, Bitcoin would almost certainly be a commodity, but certain assets would be viewed as securities, which would require more disclosure for consumer protection purposes.
If, say, for instance, Ethereum and Bitcoin are categorized as commodities, then why would something like Cardano be considered a security?
Well, it is most likely that of all of the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum would be commodities. But there are a lot of crypto assets that are not sufficiently diversified in terms of their ownership or the manner in which they are overseen. The fact that Bitcoin certainly and Ether as well to an extent are tremendously ubiquitous in terms of the way in which they are owned and the manner in which their algorithms are approved of makes them the most likely candidates. And of course, they make up over 60%, almost 2/3 of the market capitalization of all of the crypto assets.
Do you think it's a sort of a more positive sort of environment, regulatory environment, a little bit like in the early days of the internet?
I think some people in the United States look back on the lack of regulatory involvement and engagement that occurred when the internet was in its infancy. Because of that, I think a lot of people would like to have a do-over and not exempt from potential liability. The social media giants who are inadequately protective of data privacy, for example. So having learned some lessons when the internet was in its infancy, and now seeing digital assets as something that will be every bit as big as the internet itself, we want a situation where we're having a constant dialogue and building a regulatory framework that is both robust and responsive when it comes to privacy protection, and it's not used as a means of surveillance, which is what we fear, for example, is happening with Chinese Communist Party's digital yuan.
Do you think the Fed is preparing to create a CBDC, or would it more or less want to appoint a favored stablecoin and promote it, such as USDC?
Well, I think that the latter of your ideas is the more likely scenario. I am hopeful, and I believe that the Fed agrees that we should not have in the United States a direct-to-consumer CDBC. The Fed could have a CDBC that is useful in the wholesale market, meaning to move money more quickly and efficiently among banks, but the consumer interface with the US dollar would remain through either a digitized dollar or a stablecoin that is 100% US dollar backed. It just makes sense that moving to a digitized dollar should be part of the transformation of our current system. which is we want to make it faster and cheaper to transfer money among buyers and sellers of goods and services.
Do you think that's supportive of the dominance of the dollar around the world?
The United States very much wants to continue to see the US dollar to be the reserve currency of the world. And digitizing the US dollar is one way to do that. You know, Brian, there was a group of Bitcoiners in the US who contributed Bitcoin and sent it to Ukraine, and that money was in their hands the next day, allowing them to buy medicine and food and transportation for people who wish to escape Ukraine. If it can be done in Bitcoin, we need to make sure that it can also be done in a digitized US dollar.
Every single month, you know, in the mainstream press, it's kind of hinted that crypto is dead. Do you believe any of that? Or are you convinced, do you have conviction that this is a burgeoning technology that actually will do what it promises to do?
Brian, I absolutely have that conviction. I think the sky's the limit, and I'm a believer that this technology is not only here to stay, but it's here to grow, expand, and provide opportunities that you and I can't even imagine today.
Cynthia Lummis, thank you so much for coming on the Crypto Mile.
My pleasure.